And my first newspaper editor said that I was riding a white horse, that I wanted to change people's minds about things. I've always believed that if I could make you care, then I could make you think. This was always my sort of credo as a journalist, and I feel photography is even a more distilled way to do this. I don't know anything more powerful than a still photo to take you into that vertical space of reflection and engagement and empathy. I think it's what photographers have as a really distinct and powerful capacity. It's why teaching photography and visual literacy is so important, because you're a problem solver. Here I am trying to build a conversation about war is only half the story, so there needed to be a way to make that conversation happen with these images. So we published an annual book of the still images, but then we also began working with Facing History and ourselves to create a series of lesson plans that were very much about the power of a still image. So they did a conference call and they were like, talk us through a single photograph and what there is within it about visual literacy. The only thing we had on a website was one of my photos from Bosnia, which showed a Muslim widow with a hand outstretched in prayer. It was high noon. A lot of photographers won't shoot at high noon, but this is when the event was happening, and I had to figure out a way to work at high noon. So her face is completely in shadow. She's scarred, and there are a couple of other women in sort of smaller perspective in the background behind her. It's a really bright, cloudy day. The underlying story of this is that this is one of the widows of Srebrenica, which was the largest genocide or massacre of humans in Europe since World War II. And this is the day that the ground is being broken for the memorial for the victims of that massacre. But all you see is this woman with a few others, and her hand is held like this. And I said, well, you know, I would ask you as you look at this picture, where is the photographer standing when they take the picture? So you have to reason through, was I on my knees looking up? Was I straight on? What was the perspective of the photographer? And how does that affect how you see the picture? And then, because it's high noon, I said, what time of day is the picture taken? So you're thinking about it and you're looking at it and you realize her face is completely in shadow, and you have to trigger it through a little bit more to go, well, the time of day when you see that light and those shadows is usually high noon. It means the sun is directly above you. So, and then the question became, all right, so what's the impact of the fact that you don't see this woman's face? You realize there are some other people around her, there's something going on, but here's one woman, and what does that blacking out of her face do to you? And then it became, is she a representative of every man or every woman, or is it a way of saying the world has yet to acknowledge the Srebrenica massacre in a way that's meaningful? And then I said, and what's the gesture of the hand? What does that mean to you? And in a Western context, it's so often it's like, stop, don't take my picture. So we talked about that and what it was and why was this hand different than that? And what was the season as you looked around and saw this sky and behind her? And then I asked everybody in the room to choose one gesture from the photograph and to hold it for a minute and to think through everything that we had just discussed about what was in the picture, because I hadn't told them what the picture was about. And then at the end of the minute, I said, all right, now, what's the emotion you have? The amazing thing was that 90 to 95% of the people had sorrow. They got to the emotion of the picture without knowing what it was about, that it was the dedication of this memorial to 7,000 to 8,000 boys and men who'd been massacred. Somebody once said to me, if you've never been moved by a great work of art, then stand in front of one and pray that you are so moved. I think there's a lot of listening and humility we have to bring to a still image.